Hi folks, Mr. Coleman here, giving you some tips on specifically moving colleges from your thinking about list to your applying to list in Naviance and making sure you know how to formally request letters of recommendation from your teachers via Naviance. Okay? As we begin, I want to first highlight if you're ever wondering how to navigate to Naviance, all students can access Naviance at cps.edu/Naviance, and we'll take you to this page. And you'll see this gold square, and then you'll click Student Login, and you should be able to use your CPS login information to access Naviance. If you have any issues with that, feel free to reach out to your counselor, and we'll take a look and make sure we figure out what's going on there. Okay? So once you log in to Naviance, it will take you to this page. Okay? Minus my voice and face being there in the corner. So generally, when you come to Naviance, you'll see the welcome message, listing your welcome message. I always strongly recommend that up here, generally, you'll see a hot pink number. Take a look there. That will always show you the mass emails that counseling has sent to you. I know you're getting so many emails in your inboxes from Google notifications, Google Classroom notifications, and emails from CPS and all sorts of things from your teachers. So we appreciate that our emails, may get buried in your inbox. You can always check to see what you've missed back here in Naviance because it keeps a historical record for all of the mass emails that you've been sent throughout high school. So make sure you take a look at those. For today, I'm going to show you two things, and they're both actually on the colleges tab. But I did want to highlight before going there, if you take a look at the senior welcome message, there's some highlights there for you, but also just in case you ever need it, the numbers, our senior class size around 477, number of students roughly around 1,984 students, the counselor caseloads. You know what? For now, it's much better to reach us via email since we're not in our offices with access to our office phones at a moment's notice. And then when it comes to our GPA and grading scale, just remember, even though we have, our honors, advanced placement, and then college prep, our regular level courses, our GPA scale is always 4 point. No matter what, we're always using a 4.0 scale. Okay? So the big thing first I wanted to highlight is if you click colleges, go to colleges home. As we've talked about before, here's a section where you research your colleges, etc. But today we're really focusing on the specifics of looking at colleges you're thinking about. Your thinking about list is where colleges need to be first in order for you then to move them to the colleges I'm applying to list. Please keep in mind, your counselor will not be able to send any materials for you unless you link your Naviance and Common App accounts, and then we can't send anything for you unless you move your colleges from your thinking about list to your applying to list. So I'm going to show you how to do that briefly. So first, I'm going to click the Add Colleges to my list. I'll go with, instead of quick list, I'll search by keyword. We'll say for our purposes, DePaul University. Great. All right. And then you have it there. I click the heart. Boom. That adds it to my colleges I'm thinking about list. And then if I move my face for just one moment. Yep. Are you going to go for me? Absolutely. Great. Go back. Now it's on my colleges I'm thinking about list. Okay. And then once it's on your list, you can see the delivery type. That will always tell you if it's a Common App school, if it's an electronic only school that's not Common App, if you have to send things hard copy. Okay. It'll give you a sense of the deadlines. And then in order to move it to your application list, all you have to do is click, move to application list, decide how you're going to apply. It's very important for your own records that you know of the application options, how you're going to apply. If you're applying via Common App for this school, since it's a Common App only school, your only option is to apply via Common App, and then you click Add Applications. All right. Since this is a practice account, I can't technically do all of the pieces. I can't, for example, apply to this school because my accounts aren't linked, which again is a point. Make sure you link your Common App and Naviance accounts. And this will show you the schools on your list. I have a Northern, Northwestern, and DePaul. Okay. It says the type of application I'm doing based on what I've decided, regular decision, early action here for DePaul potentially. The submission type, as we've talked about before in the spring, just keeping in mind that it will default to, for example, what we have here. It's a Common App school, but since I chose there not to apply via Common App, it's going to default to electronic. All right. The point there being that if a school's in Naviance, overwhelmingly, we're going to be able to submit materials either through Naviance because it's Common App once you link your accounts, or because it's electronic and has a relationship with Naviance. It's very, very rare that we won't be able to send your materials via Naviance. And if you ever have any questions, feel free to talk to your counselor. Okay? And boom, that's how you add schools to your list. And once they're on your colleges I'm applying to list, your counselor can do the rest in terms of getting your Common App secondary report or any secondary report. If you qualify for a fee waiver and requested a fee waiver, your letter of recommendation from your counselor, your teachers will be able to send their letters of recommendation. It'll all be taken care of. And that's how you update your list. So that's one big piece of today's video. The second piece is also from the Colleges tab. And we're just going to go to Colleges Home. And that is the letter of recommendation. So as we've talked about in other videos, it's very important first that you reach out to your teachers, as you should all be right now if you haven't already. Make sure your teachers say, yes, I'll write for you. Okay. And then they're going to tell you how they want you to give them information that you might want them to highlight in their letter about what you've learned, or maybe projects that you've worked on, or things that you've created or submitted as part of your experience in their class, or certain interests or skills that you have. Some will use the JCP teacher recommendation form, as we talked about before. Some of them may have their own process. It is totally up to them what makes the most sense. Okay? However, that's just step one. The practical, logistical step two that must be done after a teacher says yes, they will write a letter for you, is to come into Naviance, go to the Colleges tab like I did, and then under Apply to Colleges, click Letters of Recommendation. Okay? All right. So this is where you actually make the formal required request. They've said yes. Now you come into Naviance, you're going to click Add Request, and then you select one of our teachers. Okay. For today, I'll select Mr. Capetta. Okay, one of our math teachers. All right. So once you select a teacher, you'll see here all of the colleges that are already populated on your colleges I'm applying to list. What's interesting here is that for each teacher, that you choose, you'll have the option of their letter going to all of the schools on your list, right? Or you can choose, for example, for Mr. Capetta's letter to go to specific schools, and then you select which schools. For our example today, Northern doesn't want letters of recommendation, so I can't select Mr. Capetta's letter to go there. Here's where things get tricky, okay? So let's say you have two teachers, let's say Mr. Capetta and Mr. Clayton, for example. And you decide both of their letters should go to all of your schools. Okay, fine. And then you decide later, actually, you know what? I also want, I think I'm going to have someone else write for me. I might also have Dr. Powers write for me. Okay. And you want Dr. Powers' letter to go to all your schools too. This is where it becomes tricky. When you're looking at your schools, let's use DePaul, for example. DePaul only allows up to 2 letters. But for our example, you have 3. That means that since they're all, as you've selected, going to all of your schools, the 2 letters that will be selected for DePaul really depend on, of the 3 recommenders, who finishes their letter first. All right? So the reality is, if you choose all of your teachers to go to any school, all right, it's going to be a game of who finished their letter first, and that will decide which of the 3 would go. Okay. If you want a little bit more control, you can, for every teacher, you can click and decide which school they'll be eligible to send their letter to. Okay. Boom. If you have any questions on that, feel free to follow up with your counselor, because I can appreciate that it's a little tricky. Again, if you want your teacher letters to go to specific schools, choose this option and then click which schools you want the letter to go to. If you don't care and you're totally open, you can select all current and future colleges, and then your teachers will be able to go in and either send them already for the colleges on your list, or if you update your list letter, go in and select to send their letters to those schools as well. After you have made a decision here, and then you can decide down here what's the personal note that you would like to put in for that teacher to tell them, hey, you know what, thank you for writing for me. Here's something that I'd like you to highlight as part of your letter. You click submit request at the end, and you're done. Now, in this example, Mr. Capetta, he will receive a notification that I'm requesting that he write for me. You don't do this step in Naviance until you've already received a formal yes from the teacher in advance. And that's all you need to do to submit a request for a teacher letter of recommendation. If you have any issues, questions, or concerns, feel free to follow up with your counselor directly. There's only one more note I would want to make around letters of recommendation. It's that if, for whatever reason, you update your college list after submitting a request for teachers to write for you, you will need to let the teachers know, I've updated my list and added additional schools, or I've taken some schools off my list, so you don't need to submit a letter for those. Because this is all time bound, your teachers will know which schools you want their letter to go to based on the request they receive right now. If your list continues to fluctuate or shift, you'll just need to let them know, because they would not know automatically. This is very important, and many students forget that part. All right, that's it for now. We look forward to seeing you in senior seminar. If you have any follow-up questions about letters of recommendation, feel free to ask at that time or reach out to your counselor separately. All right, folks, take care. Bye.